So we are reading from Sri Tattva Sandarbha, and we are discussing text number 9, which talks about the pramana. So Jiva Goswami lays stress on the Shabda pramana because the others, they are fraught with the problem, difficulty. But we have to know that the Shabda which is used in our daily life, that is not the pramana he is talking about, because this Shabda is also based on prataksha. Every Shabda pramana is based on prataksha. And if prataksha is having problem, then Shabda will also have problem. So this is the problem. That we have knowledge, the primary source of our knowledge is perception, right? And perception has problems. So then anything which is based on perception will have problem. So how to get around this problem? This is the question. So we also use Shabda Pramana in our daily life because nobody can function without that. Most of our knowledge actually comes from Shabda only. It's not that everything we know we have experienced it. Most of things which we know we have heard, we have read, we have seen on television. In our daily life also, we are on the Facebook, right? Or watching some other videos. So it is all Shabda. But Shabda is also coming from prataksha, perception. It is somebody who has experienced and that person is describing it to you or writing a book. So this is called, so therefore Jiva Goswami makes two divisions of Shabda. One is called Paurushaya Shabda, another is called Aparushaya Shabda. Because Shabda is coming from the Purusha, and Purusha is having these 4 defects which we read. So what are the 4 defects? Viparya? Now you are going into Yoga Sutra? Pramada. So out of that, the which is more limiting is the Karna Patava. Number 1, Karna Patava and Brahma. Karna Patava means that our senses have limitation. So that we know ourselves, that our sense of sight, sense of hearing, everything has a limitation. And something which is beyond the range of our sense perception, how do we know that? Cannot know. And then second problem is that even within this range in which we can perceive things, we can be deluded. Everybody knows about the optical illusions. So these two things make our knowledge very limited and also not certain. So therefore he says that there is another Shabda which is he calls as Aparushaya Shabda. So Aparushaya Shabda is the Shabda which is not coming from ordinary Purusha. Means a person who has these 4 types of limitations or defects. So that is Aparushaya. So if we can know something like that, then there is a possibility. Otherwise we have no chance of knowing which is beyond our sense perception. Whether our knowledge is based on Shabda or Anumana or anything else, there is no possibility. Right? Is this clear? Because this you have to understand very clearly.
What did you call the second category?
Aparushaya.
Is it in here?
Yes, it's there in the book also. So, this is what he is shooting for. Because if we do not have a Parushaya Shabda, then there is no possibility of knowing the Tattva. Is this clear? Any question on this? Any doubt? Any objection? Yes.
Okay, so just to make sure I understood right, so there is this Parushaya, which is the knowledge from the Purusha, which has the sense effects.
Yes.
And then there is the Apurushaya Śraddhā, which is not coming from the Purusha.
Right. Okay. Yes.
As you said, which I believe obviously, that all Shabda comes from Pratyaksha. Whose Pratyaksha is Apurushaya's Shabda from?
Say it again.
You mentioned earlier that all Shabda comes from Pratyaksha.
Right. Yes.
So, and we have Shabda that's Paurushaya and Aparushaya. So whose Pratyaksha does Aparushaya Shabda come from?
One who is not a Purusha. This is an Pratyaksha of Apurusha. So that is the next question, that whose Shabda is Aparushaya Shabda and how does it come? Yes.
Before moving on, the topic of the Vipralipsa was one that was particularly striking. And one thing that I'm really appreciating about this new volume is placing Jiva Goswami into a larger context of like modern language context, specifically quantum. But I thought with this idea of Vipralipsa that if it also points to kind of some larger ways that we conceive of thought between the subjective and the objective. So, and Atman Prasad actually sent a really nice article around from the Atlantic about a month ago that's talking about this postmodern thought and post-structuralism largely is based on this idea of we're always seeing things through our own lens. It's idealistic, that there isn't some objective reality that we can have access to. And this idea of misrepresentational bias seems to actually confirm this fact, that until one is on this platform of samadhi, that one is always seeing things through a subjective lens. There's no access to the objective. But this idea of objectivity is possible if one is in this advanced state. So I wanted to make sure I understood that correctly, and if that's perhaps a way to move Jiva Goswami into larger streams of intellectual thought.
Yes. So I have one quote here from a scientist. This is, if you go to page number 64, and this is the second last para on this page from below. It starts with to believe that one can know reality. So I'll just read it. To believe that one can know reality by studying it objectively is a myth. This myth was propagated by science and has lost its steam in the field of quantum mechanics. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake He is a scientist, puts it aptly. This is a quotation from his book. Sciences are human activities. The assumption that the sciences are uniquely objective not only distorts the public perception of scientists, but affects scientists' perception of themselves. Means not only that people are having this misbelief that scientists are objective, it is also making them believe that they are objective. It's like just like when you praise somebody, then that person may start thinking that he's like this. Actually, you may be praising falsely, because most of the time the praise is, if it's not completely false, there is always some falsity in it. So that's what he is saying, that it distorts the public perception of scientists but affects scientists' perception of themselves. And this is very dangerous. Means the Aptpurushas are being confused by a common man. A special person confusing common person is one thing, but common person confusing the special person, this is dangerous. So this happens in every field. This is a very interesting phenomena in the spiritual field, religious field. Why? Because who is a Vaishnava, who is a devotee, who is a sadhu? This has a definition. We are studying Nyaya now, so you know that everything has a lakshana. Everything has its special characteristic by which it is defined. Lakshana means anyun anatirit vrittitvam, that which is not applying to something which it is not, and also it is not that it does not apply to what it is. So that is called Lakshana. So what is a Vaishnava, what is a devotee, what is a pure devotee, what is a Rasika Bhakta? All these things, these words, or even what is love, this has a definition. These are very specific terms in spirituality. But now what is happening is that common people who know nothing about Shastra, they will say, oh, he is a great sadhu. So 10,000 people start following somebody and he say he is a great sadhu. Why is a great sadhu? Something they have their concept, because he has a beard. Or he is 108-year-old. 108 is a very interesting number. Or he lives only on milk. Or he does not talk. You know this? This is familiar things, right? So they are the one who give some concept like this, that he is a sadhu, and then sadhus start thinking, because if somebody is famous and has got 10,000 followers, then other sadhus who have only 10 followers, they start thinking that if I have to become sadhu, I have to do what he is doing, because that's what works. So then what is happening is that these people who know nothing about sadhu, they are giving the definition, and now they are changing the definition of the sadhu for the sadhus. So then if you are a true sadhu, nobody gives a damn to you. So previously sadhus were considered those who were highly renounced, because people in general in India gave respect to renunciation, because renunciation was very much stressed. Even in the Yoga Sutra, Gyan Marga, everywhere renunciation is very much stressed. So if you are a sadhu, you have to be renounced. There are no two ways about it. Now the society has changed. Society is more materialistic. So what people value is wealth. So now sadhu is that who is going in Mercedes. So he is a great sadhu, not one who is walking on the street. So this is actually what is happening here also. This is what he's saying. This is what I'm saying, that I'm interpreting his words, that common people who know nothing about scientists, who have some view of, they think scientists are perfected beings. They think that scientists know the truth. Because in the school we were taught like this. We also thought like that. In the school you study, because your first impression of science is when you study in the school. And at that time you don't have much discrimination. So you hear about Einstein or you hear about Madame Marie Curie or whoever, Newton, and then you start thinking that these are Apta Purushas. They are great authorities, whatever they say, that is truth. And if many people start thinking like this, then scientists may also start thinking like this, that we are actually like that. So this is what he is saying. The illusion of objectivity makes scientists prone to deception. See, this is the Vipralipsa part. And self-deception. So deception is of two types. And this is not Jiva Goswami writing, I am not writing this. I am only citing a scientist. So he is making actually the distinction between deception and self-deception. That not only that they deceive people, but they also deceive themselves. It works against the noble ideal of seeking truth. So there is a lot actually available on this subject. Yes.
No, it's okay, but I have another really great quote in this regard. It's by George Bernard Shaw. I'll read it slow because it's really good. It says, "The great danger of conversion in all ages has been that when the religion of the high mind is offered to the lower mind, feeling its fascination without understanding it, and being incapable of rising to it, drags it down to its own level by degrading it."
Yes. So, he's saying the truth. Once George Bernard Shaw, he was invited to USA. I don't know whether it was Harvard or somewhere. It's a true story. So he was supposed to give a talk, and so many people are sitting in the assembly, and he was a little funny guy. So the first thing he says that in this assembly 50% people are fools. This was his opening statement. And the guy who was the organizer, he felt completely embarrassed, and he said, "What are you saying?" So he says, "Did I say anything wrong?" He said, "Of course." And everybody, of course, was upset when he said like this. He said, "Of course, you are calling 50% of people as fools, So he says, "Okay, sorry." So he says, "I'm sorry. I actually wanted to say that in this assembly, 50% people are intelligent." And then everybody started clapping. So then he told the guy, "Look, what I said before was right." See how fool is that? So let's come back to our Aparushaya Shabda. So I want to read little bit, because this point I want to really hammer this about Aparushaya Shabda, because even devotees, even spiritualists, they are not clear about it. So I want to really nail it down so that it goes deeper, because everything is based on this. This is the foundation. The whole thing is founded on Aparushaya Shabda. So you please come to page 51 and read from the last paragraph. So for Srila Jiva Goswami, Shabda Pramana is restricted to the revealed knowledge of the Vedas. It is called Aparushaya Shabda, self-existing and self-revealing sound that is transhuman in origin. So this sound is not human in origin, that is the important thing. It is prataksha of somebody who is transhuman. Call it God, call it Ishvara, call it Bhagwan. But he is not a human, means he is not a person. He is a person. Actually, a Parushaya is also Parushaya, but just to distinguish it from the original Purusha. The word Aparushaya has two meanings, by the way. One meaning of Aparushaya is that which is not of ordinary human beings. Because the word, when you put the A before anything, it is not always negation. It is also in Sadrishya. Means like Purusha but not Purusha. So means he is also a person, but not a person which we know of. So that is one meaning of Aparushaya, which means that it is the word of God. And God is not having these four types of defects. Okay? So that is one meaning of Aparushaya. And the Purvamimamsakas, they take the word Aparushaya in the sense that it is not word of God also. They do not accept that Vedas are spoken by God. They say that Vedas exist independent of God. So for them Veda is authoritative not because God spoke them, because it is Veda, that's all. So that is another, that is, then the meaning of A before Parushaya is not Parushaya. So one meaning is similar to Purusha, other is not Purusha. So both meanings are accepted. So it originated from and is identical to the Supreme Absolute. So our opinion is that yes, it comes from Bhagavan, because that's what the scriptures say. It is not independent of Bhagavan, but it is eternal, that we also accept. That it originated from him means that it eternally exists within him as his own self-revealing sound potency, and not that it has a beginning in time. So that we, all schools, theistic schools, accept that Veda is timeless truth. Because if something is absolute truth, it has to be timeless. It has to be beyond the range of time. It is received in disciplic succession through a realized teacher who initiates and mirrors the way of its immediate realization. So then it is transferred from above through the parampara. That is the meaning of parampara, param and aparam, param and aparam, above and below. That's parampara, that's what it means. Parampara also means continuity. That is another meaning of parampara. Satatya Kriya Yoge. There is a sutra like that in Panini grammar. So the parampara signifies two things. One is that it is coming from above to down, and second that there is a continuity, no break. Because even if it is coming above, down, and if there is a break, then there is going to be a problem. So these are the two things which are signified by the word parampara. So therefore he says it is received in disciplic succession through a realized teacher who initiates and mirrors the way of its immediate realization. So he realizes Śraddhā parecha nishnatam brahmanya upsamashraya. So the teacher is nishnata, means he is bathed in that. It's like you do abhishek for the deity. So like that, you have to be bathed in it. So in India, when students went to school, to Gurukula, and when education was over, then the last ceremony was abhishek. The Guru will do the abhishek of the student, giving him a shower. So that was symbolic that now he is bathed in this knowledge. Top to bottom, he is soaked. So that was like now you have convocation after your graduation. So that was convocation in India. And he will give his final instructions at that time. So that's the word nishnat used. Sna means to bathe, to shower. So then he is mirroring that the way of its immediate realization, how it has to be realized. He has to give the process. Aparushaya Shabda is therefore the definitive pramana because it is free from the four defects. So that's why it is the definitive pramana, because it is not fraught with the limitations and problems of the Parushaya Shabda or Parushaya perception or any other pramana. Some schools of rational or empirical philosophy reject even the possibility of a trans-empirical mode of knowing, and hence they categorically deny the authority of a Parushaya Shabda pramana. Those influenced by such views doubt the very existence of transcendental reality beyond the empirical world. Then there are others who intuit the existence of such a reality and may even accept the principle of hearing a Parushaya Shabda pramana as a means of knowing about it. So these are two schools. Like Buddhist school, they completely reject that there is anything like that. Therefore Veda is not pramana, they don't talk about God. Buddha, he did not answer questions about God, about Atma, afterlife. These some 6 topics wherever he used to go, they used to announce beforehand that don't ask questions about these 6 topics. So he didn't talk about it. And later on it was understood that they don't exist, but probably that's not what he meant. And then there are other schools who accept, like Nyaya, they accept Shabda Pramana, but they base everything on logic. So therefore he says, but as long as the root problem of egoic self-reference remains, they unwittingly endeavor to know the transcendental reality in the same way that they strive to know all phenomenal objects through the limited categories of rationality and empiricism. So that's why even Veda Nyaya is refuted, Sankhya is refuted, Yoga is refuted in Vedanta. Because if you do not base your knowledge on a Parushaya Shabda, even if you are saying that we accept Shabda Pramana, and then you come up with your own explanation, still it is going to have some problem with it. So that's why Vedanta attacks everyone. Yes, if you read the Vedanta Sutras, then you will see this. This is one of the job of Vedanta. So that's why Vedanta is considered as the supreme philosophy. And that does not mean that rationality or perception is useless. So this is what many times people misunderstand. No, rationality, perception, inference, everything is useful as long as it is in line with Aparushaya Shabda, as long as it supports Aparushaya Shabda, as long as it helps you to understand Aparushaya Shabda. That is its utility. So Nyaya therefore is very important to study, Yoga Sutra is very important to study, because they help you to understand Aparushaya Shabda. But if you go against Aparushaya Shabda, then that is deviation, at least from Vedanta point of view. So therefore it does not matter whether it is Shankaracharya or Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya or any other Acharya, whether they are impersonalists or personalists or Vaishnavas or Mayavadis, they all are one on this point. They all agree on this one thing.
So this is very clear. By opening the door of avatar, it seems that defining who this sadhu is very difficult. And our own tradition is subject to this. So
Yes.
Chaitanya, well, it's avatar, so now the parampara can start here, and we can look at Swami Narayan the same, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa the same, and Swami Vishwananda the same. So by accepting this multitude of avatars, even within this theory, it still seems to provide some confusion.
No, it is not confusion unless you base your avatara on Aparushaya Shabda. That is the key point. And that's why I am saying that I want to hammer this point strongly. So Buddha is accepted as avatar, right? Even in Bhagavatam he is avatar. Mahabharata also mentions, many places he is mentioned avatar. But his teachings are not acceptable. Why? So it's not just a question of avatar. Number one, avatara has to be verified by a Parushaya Shabda. That's why Jiva Goswami endeavors to interpret the verse Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam about Chaitanya. So he is finding a source for Chaitanya. That is one thing. And second thing is that he is not basing his philosophy on Chaitanya, his life or his teachings. He doesn't bring anything here from Chaitanya. That is another thing that he has studied from his teachers who have studied from Chaitanya. That is a different thing. You can study, but when he is writing, his source is not Chaitanya. So this should be made very clear, and this will make distinction whether it is Swaminarayan or anyone else. So you have to consider two points. Number one, that whomever you call as avatara, it must be verified by a Parushaya Shabda. Number two, whatever that avatara is teaching, it must be verified by a Parushaya Shabda. If any one of this is missing, then that is not acceptable. So even if the first one is verified and second one is not in line, then that is, we accept only that part. So what is being said here, and this is what I am trying to say, that authority is not Krishna. Authority is Krishna's word. What he did may be confusing to you, but what he said, that is not confusing. So there is a sloka like this, Sukadeva Goswami, you know that Tathaiva Acharitam Kvachit. When Parikshit asked this question that Pratipam Acharat Brahman Pardara Vimarshanam, that why Krishna is the Dharma Setu, so why he is behaving in a irreligious manner by having affair with others' wives, Pardara Vimarshanam. The very word Pardara is used here. So Sukadeva Goswami says that great personalities, they do things and sometimes they also act what they say. He says what they say, that is the authority, and sometimes they also act what they say. So what he is saying is that what is important is what they say, not what they do. Although Krishna himself says that yad yad acharti shrestha tattva devitaro jana, but he is talking about shrestha. So Krishna is not a shrestha, he is a mahashrestha. So he is beyond shreshthas. So he may do certain things which may not be pramana for us if we don't understand why he is doing it. But what he says, that is important. So this is the meaning, that pramana here is not aparushaya purusha, but aparushaya shabda. The authority is not the person, but the shabda. So that we have to keep in mind, that, and Krishna himself says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam te Karya Karya Vyavasthito. Although he is speaking, but still he says that what is the authority? Is Shastra. Now he does not say I am the authority. Although he says that I am the source of everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Matta Sarvam Pravartate, and from all the Vedas I am to be known, I am Vedantakrit, Veda Vidasyaham, I am the knower of the Veda, all these things he says, but he did not say that I am the authority. He says Shastra is authority. So Shastra is his word. That is authority. So this we have to understand. And this is what Jiva Goswami is striving for. And this is the reason that he is not giving any example of Chaitanya here. Because that may again confuse you. And then you say, well, Ramakrishna Paramahansa did this and he did that. No, first you go to the Śraddhā and then you can see and study the sadhus. So that's why he says Aparushaya Shabda is Pramana. Yes.
Very well.
So the Śraddhā, you've written in your commentaries, is self-revealing sound potency. So it seems that the Śraddhā has, this is my thinking of it, but like a two-dimensional understanding, like a lower dimensional understanding, in terms of just like a thought construct, I'm thinking about it. And then like the higher dimensional understanding, which is just direct perception.
Yes, because the Shabda is non-different from that absolute reality.
So I was thinking about your commentary also just in terms of like, in devotional communities, people have understandings of the Aparusha Shabda, which isn't actually perceptive. It's like a lower dimensional understanding. And they quote Śāstrīya also, but that also causes a lot of confusion, because their understanding is not perception, it's just a thought construct. So I was wondering how you...
Well, if they are quoting and their understanding is in line with the perception, they may not have perceived it, but somebody has perceived, the teacher has perceived, and if it is in line with that perception, then it is fine. But if it is, as we said, that if it has a reference to one's egoism, then it may get colored there. So that's why this spiritual path is actually very important to understand. That why it is said that you need a guru, and why it is said that you have to surrender to a guru. You have to understand the concept. Whether you do it or not do it, that is a different thing. Because if you don't have a teacher and if you don't surrender to him, you are going to hang on to your own material mind and material ego and material lens, because that's what you have. You cannot get rid of it. It's not possible. So why Krishna says tadviddhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya? Why he says pranipata, seva and questioning? So the meaning is that you have to surrender your mind, body and speech. So surrendering means that, and that's why Śraddhā is needed for that. So why Rupa Goswami says Adav Śraddhā, that you have to have this faith that if he is saying something which doesn't match my understanding, then I give up my understanding and I accept that. That is the meaning of Śraddhā. Otherwise what happens that I have Śraddhā and he says something, then I am going to interpret it to match with my understanding. So that's what people do. So that is not surrender. So this surrendering is an inner thing. That you have to have this conviction that I am not perfect and here is my teacher, he is perfect. And I want to learn from him or her. You also have to include her, otherwise hers become troubled. So there is no problem. Guru is not related with gender, male or female. Whoever has the knowledge can transfer it. So you have to have that inner conviction. It is not just bowing down, it is not just saying Vanshakal Parubhyascha and all these things. You may not do this, but inside it is an inner feeling. You have to feel it. I can't put it in words basically. It's just like love. You can talk about love, all that, but ultimately it is the inner thing. You have to experience it, what it is. If you don't experience it, you don't know it, no matter how much you read about it. So this Śraddhā this Śāstrīya Śraddhā is something which is very amazing. It actually brings a transformation in you. And therefore, if you have this Śāstrīya Śraddhā, you cannot fall down. It's impossible. This Śāstrīya Śraddhā itself elevates you. Unless, of course, you commit some heinous offense. Otherwise, this Śraddhā itself is so powerful. Because it is a revolution. This is the only revolution which happens in the human life. That you get Śraddhā in a Parushaya Shabda. It's very difficult. It's not easy. Because your ego will come back again and again. Because you think, what the heck are you talking about? I am also somebody. How he can be right? He is an old fellow. And he doesn't know internet. Yes, these are all ideas which come in the mind. So many thoughts will come that how can this person actually know? It is not possible. So your mind, your intelligence, your ego will revolt against any idea of surrender. Up to the extent that even when formally you have accepted teacher and you have surrendered, still it will keep on coming unless you have actually gotten that true Śraddhā. When that true Śraddhā comes, then all this nonsense goes away. Immediately, it leaves you. And it will keep coming to you, but you will see it coming, but you will not pay attention to it. Because this nonsense is in the form of samskaras, they will hang around you. They will keep coming. So if you have got Śāstrīya Śraddhā, then you will see the game. And if you don't have Śāstrīya Śraddhā, then you will not know what the game is going on. You will not see it. It will keep continue. The game will continue. And you will not know. Yes.
I had a question about the eternality of the Apaurusheya Shabda. So we see in some ways that, when Lord Brahma first heard Bhagavatam, it was just 4 shlokas. Now they expanded. Different things like that. So is it eternal in principle, or is it eternal? How does the eternality come in with the Apaurusheya Shabda if we see it expanding and contracting, things like that?
So we will study that later on, because he will make 2 divisions of that. As far as the Veda is concerned, it is eternal, because there is nothing expanded there. Nothing is changed. But the Puranas, they are written by the sages. They can have a different composition in different yogas. Or they may be expanded. Even Vyasa, Narada is telling, Brahma is telling to Narada, Tameta the Vipli Kuru, that you expand it. Of course, Jiva Goswami takes a very different approach and different stand. He says that actually Bhagavatam was received by Brahma as it is, 18,000 slokas. He goes to that extent. He's quite strong on this Apaurusheya thing. Very strong. Although he writes very little, but you have to get, it's very potent what is written, few words, and this keeps on coming again and again later on. So he comes to that Bhagavatam, because he actually also tries to prove that Bhagavatam was spoken by Krishna and not by Narayana or Vishnu. And then he says that God, because in the end Bhagavatam itself says Kasmai yena vibhasitoyam jnana pradipa pura. So he says it comes like this, like this, like this, so there is no expansion there. Because Sutta is saying I am means this, what he has just spoken, this was given.
So is there resistance that you were mentioning before, on the mind resistance and intellect resistance? Is it because of fear? Like why is this resistance there? And because you mentioned ego, but then if we can just go deeper and deeper a little bit into it. And the second thing I want to ask is, how can you, this is a little bit ignorant question, but how can you tell the difference between, the spiritual path where a person says, the Bhagavatam will help you, this will help you, versus, there are people who walk around and they have such bravado sometimes and confidence saying that, this is the particular way, and you'll soon realize it will work, you'll soon realize. So then naturally in that moment your intellect will come up and say, no, just watch out for this or something. So how can you tell the difference in that situation?
No, you cannot tell. You have no ability to tell. That's what I'm saying. that it is only Śraddhā which makes the difference. Otherwise, by your material mind, you cannot figure out. You may believe in one, or you may believe in another one, or you may reject everybody. But actually, to know the truth, you need this Śraddhā, and that's why you need Satsanga and the grace, ultimately. Yadrichya mat krathadau, Śraddhā yavan na jayate. So that's where that fourth factor comes, beyond the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So unless that is there, then it is difficult. I can answer your question in many ways, but truly speaking, it is not possible for a common person to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. Because all the distinctions, all the decisions he or she is going to make, will make using the apparatus which he or she has. And that is part of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So it is not possible.
So then does it matter then if I ask why is the resistance there? Why is the resistance?
Yeah, resistance is there because your personality, your existence at present is that only. Because you are identifying with your mind-body complex. So that is your existence. So who wants to give up the existence? So as I say a few times, that it's like I'm asking you to burn your house. So if you are a sane person, why would you do that? So that's why spirituality is a type of insanity. Because you are actually killing your own self. That's why Jesus also said that if you want to follow me, I don't know the exact words, but you have to burn your house, and I have come to put the son against the father, and something like that he said, and the father against the son. So this is I don't know what is their understanding, but this is how I see it. That is, he's saying that you have to burn your house. So a house is the ego, which is your material identity. So why would you like to burn? Because to burn you have to use the ego itself. So why would ego like that? So that is the resistance. You can do everything. You can sacrifice your house, your family, your life, your children. Even you can actually sacrifice your life, but not your ego. You see, these people who are now giving up the human bomb, so they are sacrificing their life, but they are keeping their ego still. Ego is so smart that it can stand outside the body and keep it alive. So same with the soldiers, they fight, they sacrifice their life for the country, but for the ego. That this is my country and I can give my life for this. So that I is there. So ego is very smart. To get around it, it's very difficult. So that's why that's why the solution given is surrender. Because there is no other solution. You can go on trying, doing anything, but your ego is with you. So you practice and then you become successful, then you think it is because of my practice. So bhakti is the only path where the first thing is they hammer you on your ego. That's why people don't like it. You understand why people don't like bhakti? Because it is not appealing. If you see an athlete who is training, for say 100 meters sprint for Olympics, what a discipline, or somebody is a gymnast, what a discipline they have to follow just even to be selected to participate in the Olympics. It's a very strict regimen they follow. No spiritualist does that kind of thing. So why is that they are able to do it? Because they have the ego that one day, even if I am selected, at least this itself is a big thing for the country, that I am representing the country. It solidifies your ego, fortifies your ego. But in spirituality, who is doing anything to you like that? Nobody is going to give you a medal. Your name is not going to be written somewhere. So you do it and you don't even get recognition. Rather they say that you should not go for recognition. Right? This pratishtha sukari vishtha. Our Goswami says that pratishtha, recognition, is the stool of pig. So Indian pig. Because you have seen Indian pigs, how dirty they are, and they are eating dirt. So the stool of that is, they say this is as stinking. Meaning is that recognition is stinking. So who wants to work for something where you say recognition is stinking? But if you can get recognized, then you can ride Mount Everest in the cold. We are freezing to death. Otherwise, what is the fun in this, tell me? Are they enjoying when they are doing it? I met this guy who has been to both poles, North Pole and South Pole, this Polish fellow. I met him last year. In the summer, he came to see me. So I was talking to him and I was asking that, how was it, how did you walk in this cold? So he said, just you have to have the determination. So it's not that it is pleasurable when he is doing it, but when it is done, then it is pleasurable. Because now you are recognized everywhere. Now you go on TV, give lectures, he is always being invited here and there. So that kind of determination, if you can have for spiritual path, you are successful. But there is no recognition. Of course, you will be recognized by the most recognizable person. But we want recognition here for human beings. What is that? Swavidvaraha ushtra kare sanstuta purusha pashu. We want to be recognized by animals, human animals, who are like dogs, hogs, camels and asses. So that is the inspiration. Yes.
I just want to make sure that I've got the word that we were talking about before, so that there's two types of knowledge sources, and one is from a Purusha, which has the 4 defects, which can be wrong, and then the other one's from the transhuman, with God, in a sense, and that can't be wrong.
Right.
So that's what this is.
Yes. So therefore this knowledge which we are going to study is coming from the second source, and therefore this knowledge is perfect. Although from our limited mind it may not appear so. And that's where the faith comes. Because from our limited mind we are going to find fault in it.
And we have to have faith that it's right.
That is the meaning of faith. That is the only wealth we can aspire for in the beginning. Yes.
So, since transcendence is beyond the senses anyways, why do we have to bring in the fact that the senses are faulty? Because even if they're not faulty, it's still beyond those senses anyways. So.
No, that is one of its fault. That it cannot comprehend or grasp the absolute reality. That itself is a fault. Yeah. That's what he's saying. So just to tell you that they don't have the ability. They're not capable.
Before our devotional service, one of the very turn-off points in talking to Christians, particularly in America, was you have to have faith. This is always a very, hard thing to digest. So it also seems like we also say the same thing. That this just, I don't know, I guess my point is, how do you articulate that in a way that it's not totally...
So that's why I'm saying you start with the Pramana Shastra. You start speaking as we have been discussing. Because this is very systematic. You speak about epistemology. Okay, how can you know God? And what is the apparatus available to you? What are the means available to you to know God? And then you come to this. So now when you come to your own apparatus, it does not have that ability. So what are you going to do? Either you can say that, well, there is no God and I don't believe in it. Fine, that's also fine. We are not forcing you. But if you have interest, you have no other way but to have faith in this. There is no choice. Right? So either, it's like, either you take it or leave it. It's ultimately that. But there is a process to make them understand that. We are not just forcing it on you. We are saying that you use your intellect to understand it. And then if it appeals to you, fine. If it doesn't appeal, that is also fine. It's not your time has not come yet. But it will come one day.
If it's perfect knowledge, then are we not supposed to question it?
No, you can question to understand it. It's not that we just tell and you accept it. No, you question it. But don't question in the sense that this is wrong. You question that I want to understand it. That is allowed.
It's the mood.
That is actually encouraged, not only allowed. That it is not that you just accept it blindly. No, you understand it. And raise as many questions as that. But questioning the very existence that it is not right or it is wrong, then that is a different issue. So then you have to come one step down. Start from the beginning. So the first step is that you have come to the state of faith. That is the first step. And once you have the faith, then you question. Krishna himself is saying, Pariprashnena Sevaya. He says you question. He is actually saying it. Prashna means questioning. And Pari means complete questioning. Don't leave any doubts. In fact, all scriptures are question answers. Whether you read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Purana, even Upanishads, they are always question and answer. Yes.
When you use the word faith, what paribhasha?
Faith means Shastra Arthe Vishwasa. Faith means belief in the meaning of the Shastra. That is what is faith.
What is it? Can you expand on the etymology of the Vishwas?
Vishwas is, swas. Swas, breath. So Vishwas means that this is now giving me life. This is right. That is Vishwas. This is my life. Actually, Śraddhā also means that. Śraddhā is coming from the word Shrat. And Shrat is a Vedic word for Sat. So Sat Dha. Dha means to exist. So to exist in truth, that is Śraddhā. So means I am situated in truth. I accept this as truth and I want to live in this. That is Śraddhā. So that is Vishwas.
So Śāstrīya Śraddhā can only be received from a Śāstrīya Guru. And when a person first meets a Guru, of course, they do not have any Śāstrīya Śraddhā, they don't even know what it is. So the first meeting, a person has no way to find out whether it's a Śāstrīya Guru or not. So that is just Yadrichaya. There's no other, maybe some Lokika Śraddhā, but no
Yeah, you get Śraddhā by association. That is the only way it comes. And then you hear. That's why Rupa Goswami says, Ado Śraddhā tata sadhu sangha. You do sadhu sangha. Then you hear.
So the Śāstrīya Śraddhā comes gradually after a person has taken Diksha and has...
Not necessarily. If you meet a Śāstrīya Guru and you have faith in him, that is Śāstrīya Śraddhā. Because you believe what he is going to teach and what he is going to say. So you have...
Even though the person has no understanding of Śāstrīya Śraddhā, just by the fact that he has faith in a Śāstrīya Guru, even without any other understanding, that's already Śāstrīya Śraddhā.
Yeah, but that is Śāstrīya Śraddhā. Śraddhā is also then of, as you know, there's a Kanishtha and Madhyama and Uttam. So that will become more and more refined. That's why Uttamadhikari is that who has Dridha Śraddhā, who can argue, who can answer. So it's the same Śraddhā, it becomes now solidified. But Kanistha has, but if you ask question, he may not be able to answer, he may be even a little bit confused, but he is not going to give it up. That is the characteristic.
Whereas the other Śraddhā,
Other Śraddhā can change. So Śāstrīya Śraddhā will not change. Somebody had backside.
About this word Śāstrīya. Can you maybe...
Śāstrīya means based on Shastra.
Okay, so the doubt is on Shastra.
What is the doubt?
So, what it is?
What it is the Veda. This is coming. This is going to explain. First he is saying only this much, that you have to, the only way knowledge can come is from Aparushaya Shabda. Then he is going to say, what is this Aparushaya Shabda? So he is going to come to that.
So it just seemed something you said really clicked and made kind of, at least it felt like it sunk in a little more. So it seems like what the point is that to the extent we actually realize that we have no other apparatus for understanding truth, to that extent we'll be more enthusiastic to go deeper into this. But it seems like what happens is we even hear the point, but we don't really realize that actually I don't have any other apparatus for my mind and my intelligence are incapable. But it seems like what you said is like we have to get that point. Is that correct? That we have to really realize that.
This is exactly, you see, as I said, that Jiva Goswami just writes one line. Really speaking. And why I am writing such a long commentary on this to make that understand. He just says that Sutram alauki kachintya svabhavastu sparsha yogyatvat chatat pratyakshadani sadoshani. That's all he says. But this is exactly what he's saying. That what he's saying is that the apparatus which is available to you is incapable of knowing this. So if this can sink in, then there is a possibility of Śraddhā in Aparushaya Shabda or something. But as long as you think that I am capable of knowing by myself, then the Śraddhā will not come. Because you are trusting your own capability, which is the case with everybody. Because obviously if I don't trust myself, I cannot live. I have to trust. Even Descartes, he says, what is that? Ergo cogito ergo sum, something he said in French. Descartes. So he says, I think, therefore I am. So at least we tend to trust ourselves. So what I am saying is that you have to now distrust yourself. So it's a very difficult job. I mean, who wants to do that? Descartes said that I trust myself, and I am saying don't trust yourself. So this is a very hard job. So, but if you come to realize this, then this door opens, big door opens. And when I am saying incapable means incapable of knowing this thing. It's not that we are incapable of functioning in the society and knowing. You can know things here in the material world, that we all, and we have to know that. But we are not capable of knowing the alaukik achintya vastu, that trans-empirical, inconceivable object.
So over the years we have read Shastra, we heard Shastra, and maybe from an intellectual perspective we may admit that this is right. That we made experiences that were, afterwards we saw, okay, actually it was right, so we developed some faith. But on the other side, when we still keep acting not according to it, so if acting according to it is the result of having faith, then it means that we have not yet reached Kanishta.
Yeah, that means your faith is mixed. It's not that you don't have. You see, the faith is a subjective quality. It is not just 0 and 1. So what it means is that it's not that you are completely faithless, but it is also not that you have 100% faith. So you have a mixture. So now you have to increase the percentage of Śāstrīya Śraddhā and reduce the other side. So that is the sadhana you have to do. Because this truth is actually self-revealing. That is the beauty of it. You see, the beauty part of this truth is that it is self-revealing, Swayam Prakash, and it is Swayam Siddha. It is not something that you have to create or you have to search somewhere. It is existing and it is self-revealing, but you have to have faith. If you don't have faith in it, then it's not going to reveal to you. Because the truth says himself, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, tams tathai bhajamyam. As you believe in me, surrender to me, whatever, bhajan, the word bhaj has many meanings. So as you surrender to me, then I also reveal myself accordingly. So if you have 10% Śraddhā, then he will also reveal to you 10%, maybe 15%. Because he can be little gracious. But doesn't do more. He expects you to take the step. Okay. Yes, Ladali.
Yeah, I have a question because I have a problem with questions. Because actually it happens to me, I have no questions, because I hear and it's so new and so wow that, and I just need to digest, so I don't know if it's because I don't have enough faith or it's just that I need a very long digestion.
So what you hear, and if you don't have question, you just digest that, what you hear. And then during the digestion, if you get question, you can ask, and if you don't get, you keep on digesting. And by that, you will get muscles. Your muscles will develop.
Okay, thank you.